For today's Grimm adventure, we find ourselves in Venice Beach, doing another video about the Red Hot Chili Peppers. When it comes to the Grimm Life Collective and choosing topics for videos to cover, I pull a lot of inspiration from different wall murals and street art and graffiti around Los Angeles. And I saw this about 2 years ago, and it's still here. Now, this isn't going to be your average run-of-the-mill Red Hot Chili Peppers location video or anything like that. Instead, it's going to be a little bit of a darker topic when it comes to the band. We're going to be talking about Under the Bridge.
I never worry, now that it's alive.
Looking back to whenever I first discovered the Red Hot Chili Peppers, I don't know if I can actually pinpoint the very first song that I heard of theirs that made me become a fan. I would like to think that it was the song Under the Bridge. Now, the actual bridge that Anthony Kiedis sings about in that song, the exact location of it has been the topic of debate for many years. Today, we're going to try to find it, based off of two possible locations.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.
I felt the best place to start telling the story about the Red Hot Chili Peppers and the song Under the Bridge would be at the grave of Hillel Slovak, one of the founding members of Red Hot Chili Peppers. He was the guitarist. And sadly, he died of a heroin overdose in 1988.
Right. One more time. So, Hillel, how was Paris?
Paris is wonderful. I didn't really get a chance to see the Eiffel or the Louvre, but I did get a chance to go to a nightclub after the show, and I did see an old friend, and I did have a good sleep.
How much did you actually see of Paris?
Not enough. But I did see a really good crowd that rocked out. They rocked the fuck out.
The reason we're visiting the grave of Hillel Slovak is this. At the time of his death, both he and Anthony Kiedis, the lead singer of Red Hot Chili Peppers, both had a crippling heroin problem. And Hillel overdosed and died. And today, Anthony's clean, sober, and he wrote the song Under the Bridge about his time, his memories, about what it was like pretty much giving his life away under the bridge here in Los Angeles. Hence the song Under the Bridge, which originally started out as a poem. Now let me elaborate a little bit more about what I meant when I said that the song Under the Bridge was originally and only meant to be a poem. Now, if you're familiar with the Red Hot Chili Peppers, then you know that their songs are very funky and very upbeat and very positive and just a lot of fun. And Under the Bridge was really like the first time, if I'm not mistaken, that they kind of stepped away from that direction. Anthony Kiedis wrote the song as a form of therapy because he was feeling very lonely. He was sober for a couple years and everybody else around him was doing some sort of drugs, mostly smoking pot. But he was sober and he was feeling very alone.
So we were writing Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Yeah.
And I was, at the time, we would just spend our days together. He was a lot less busy. He wasn't a dad. And we would just hang all day. What are you working on? Show me the songs you're writing. Because he was producing our record. And I showed him all my, sexy songs, heavy, funky songs. He's like, okay, that's good. We can work on that. He's like, anything else in the book? Just a poem that really isn't a song. I mean, it has a melody, but I don't think it's for us. Well, let me hear it. I was like, it's kind of embarrassing. It's a little sentimental. Love to hear it. It was Rick, because Rick knows, like, there's no rules. You want the thing that's not expected. So I sang him Under the Bridge, and he was like, that's your best song. I was like, it's just a poem. Bring it into the boys. Show them the song.
Over the years, people have even asked Anthony Kiedis where the location to the bridge from the song is. And he assured them that it is a real place, but he refuses to tell people the exact location because it's not a happy place, it's not a safe place, and he doesn't want people, tourists, going there, seeking it out.
I drive on the street, 'cause she's my companion. I walk through the hills, 'cause she knows who I am. She sees my good deeds and she kisses me when dead. Well, I never worry, now that is a lie.
The first stop on our search for the actual bridge that Anthony Kiedis writes about in the song, Under the Bridge, brings us to MacArthur Park. And there's a pedestrian bridge here, and I don't think it's the actual bridge that we're looking for, or the bridge that he writes about, but it is part of the story. Now here's the thing about MacArthur Park. Back in the 80s and 90s, this was a place where you can actually come and buy drugs. It was known for its drugs. But it wasn't heroin, which was Anthony Kiedis' drug of choice. But it's not too far from Hollywood where Anthony Kiedis was living. And some people actually believe that it wasn't a freeway bridge, instead it was a pedestrian bridge here in the park, which would have been this one right here. But there's a lot of problems with that. Pretty much at the height of Anthony Kiedis' drug addiction to heroin, he owed all the drug dealers in Hollywood a whole bunch of money. So anytime that he would have to go and score drugs and what have you not, he'd have to come down close to downtown to make it happen. And MacArthur Park is pretty much right in the middle of downtown in Hollywood. But again, it's not a freeway bridge, which Anthony Kiedis himself said that it was. So don't think this place is it. Even if this is not the bridge from the song, it's pretty crazy to think what could have gone on down here in the tunnel under the bridge. They got it under lock and key now. You can't get back there. It's pretty wild.
The pitch isn't the problem. It's just on rhythms. You should just lock up more and emphasize the right one. So let's just sing it once. Under the bridge downtown is where I drew some blood. Under the bridge downtown, I could not get enough. Under the bridge downtown, forgot about my love. Under the bridge downtown, I gave my life away.
And what that was referring to was a point in time about 5 years ago when I had nothing in my life. I had no friends or places to live or automobiles or relationships with my family, and all I had was this connection of mine named Mario, who was a Mexican mafia ex-convict, and he and I would stroll the streets of downtown looking for our next score. On one particular afternoon, it was very hot in the middle of summer, and I'd been up for days, and he and I found what we were looking for, and we went to this bridge that was downtown in the middle of Los Angeles in this ghetto, and it was a freeway bridge, and there was a little passageway that you had to go to get under the bridge, and only certain members of this Mexican gang, which were all ex-convicts, were allowed to go in there. And the reason that they let me in is because this guy Mario said that I was going out with his sister, which was a lie, just so we could go in there and do what it is we wanted to do, which was to use these particular drugs we had just gotten.
Now, like I said, I don't think the pedestrian bridge in MacArthur Park is the bridge from the song. Instead, there's a lot of evidence that points to a bridge, a freeway bridge, over in the Pico Union section, the Pico Union neighborhood. And it's not a very safe place to be, but we're gonna go. The last thing I wanna do today is to stand for any period of time on the streets of Pico Union underneath a freeway bridge, talking about the history of the bridge and back in the 80s and the 90s where people would go there and buy heroin and shoot up under the bridge and pass out on dirty mattresses. Especially since that neighborhood has some pretty strong ties to the gangs. Well, I don't know about today, but back in the day, the 18th Street Gang is known to have started in the neighborhood. So in order to tell this story, I had to find a place, an interesting place to just kind of set up camp and lead into what we're gonna check out. Right now I'm in a parking garage, not too far from the Ace Hotel. You see that sign there that says Jesus Saves? At night, whenever the sun starts to set, it lights up. And a lot of people come up here to the roof of this building that I'm on right now, this parking garage, and they get pictures with that behind it. It's actually really freaking cool. I tried getting up there today, but everything's locked up. I don't know if it's because it's Sunday at the time of recording this, or if they're just trying to get people to stop going up there. So, MacArthur Park. It was a drug park, but from everything I read online from other people's research, it wasn't a place where you'd go and get heroin. The place to go get heroin here in the downtown Los Angeles area was over in Pico Union. And at the time, like I said, the 18th Street gang pretty much got their start there. There's an actual street not too far from where we were going that is notorious for being really bad. A lot of people have said that growing up in that area, they do not even walk anywhere near that street. I'm not gonna tell you what it is. I'm not gonna go there. We're just gonna go park. I already scoped it out. There's an AutoZone nearby. We're gonna park in the AutoZone, and then we're just gonna walk the sidewalk in front of this bridge. And I'm gonna tell you why it is believed that this is the bridge from the song. My mistake. It's not an AutoZone. It's actually a CVS. So right now I'm in a CVS parking lot on Hoover Street. The bridge in question, what I, as well as many other people believe, is actually about a block down that way. Standing here on Hoover Street, this is the freeway that goes over top the bridge. Now, I don't know which side could be it, but if we walk down this way, right on the other side of this fencing here, you're gonna see a concrete wall. And Anthony Kiedis did say that there was a concrete wall that pretty much hid the dirty mattresses that he would, sleep on at night. That hid the mattresses from the main road. So whenever cops would drive by, they'd be completely out of sight. And that's this wall right here. And it has to be on this side because on the other side of the street, there's no wall. Yeah. I know some people are like, oh, go back there and check it out. I'm not going to. And what's even crazier than this, supposedly, the story goes, back in the day, you couldn't go back here unless you were part of I think they called it the Mexican Mafia, that you needed to be connected in some way to get back there. And whenever he would come down here to score drugs, he'd have to lie and say that he was engaged to one of the members so he can get back there. Now, aside from this wall, Anthony Kiedis also said that there was a pathway, and that's how you'd get back there. And would you look at this? Right over here on this side, there's an entranceway right here and the fence. Now let's say that the fence wasn't here back whenever he was down here scoring drugs. There is a little wall and it goes back and you can actually climb over and kind of hide away from everybody. Pretty crazy. I'm gonna back up a little bit. This is where it is believed that the under the bridge is. I kind of got chilled. I'm a little nervous. Again, I'm not going back there. I don't care what you say, especially with all the different homelessness and the drug problems and everything here on the streets. I mean, right now I'm walking right now and I'm not having an issue. Everything I read online, I mean, things change. I mean, right down this street, keep going all the way down, it's West Adams Boulevard. There's a lot of really nice houses. There's a college and everything down there. Now, one of the other reasons that people believe that this is where the bridge is, Anthony Kiedis, I've heard two different stories. Supposedly in a moment of clear-headedness, lucidity, whatever you want to call it, after scoring some drugs, he went down to a theater. Red Hot Chili Peppers won an award, the LA Weekly Award, for being Band of the Year here in Los Angeles. And at the time, Anthony Kiedis was kicked out of the band. He wasn't part of the band at that time. And supposedly he was lucid enough. He walked a couple blocks down to the theater, which should be down that way, downtown Los Angeles. And he got there just in time to see his band, Red Hot Chili Peppers, perform. Now, I've heard two different accounts. The first one being that they did not perform that night because, well, Anthony Kiedis wasn't there. And then I also saw that, you know, they did perform, but without him. So I don't really know what to believe. Yeah. I don't think we're ever going to really know where the actual bridge was. But this is probably the closest to it that we're ever going to get. With that being said, thank you for joining us on another Grimm adventure. This time, trying to track down the bridge from the Red Hot Chili Peppers song, Under the Bridge. Till next time, happy Halloween.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.